Sam Darnold has been playing incredibly well. It was a little rough week one, making good decisions, throwing the ball with authority, had a great run when it was man coverage and the middle of the field cleared out. And he's like, screw it, I'm going. And he went, and he went, and he slid. He didn't take an unnecessary hit. He did all the things he was supposed to do. And they're 3-1 now, and he's a big reason for it. Jaxon Smith-Njigba, who did nothing in the first half, came to life in the second half. And between Kenneth Walker III and Zach Charbonnet, who had 2 touchdowns, one was taken off the board because of the Jaxon Smith-Njigba holding penalty that was capped by the open mic. This is bullshit. As the official contemplated throwing a flag. It was just one of those fun little moments you don't see very often. And we've all either gotten that look from our dads or given that look.
Yesterday or the day before, Mike, for me, I think.
I mean, I've been on both sides of that look many times, and I don't know if that's a hold, but he walks by and he says, this is bullshit. And he's like, and I don't want to be over officious. I'm just trying to understand what the rules are. That was a point Matt Casey made last night on the PFT Live main show thread with Sims, et cetera. Like, I don't want to be a killjoy, but there was a taunt after the third down play on one of the drives by the Cardinals when it was 3rd and 4, and it looked like it was a taunt by Devin Witherspoon. It's like, why wasn't that called? Because you should have called it. Shame on you. Shame on taunting. It's, what the hell is taunting? When is it a felony, as Al Michaels called it last night? Why does this guy get flagged, but not this guy? Where's the line? And I would like to think that the NFL expects the officials, when a player says to the official, this is bullshit, as he walks by him, that seems to me like something that's going to draw a flag. Because remember, there was a thing, and it's been about 10 years now, about language, and they're trying to reduce the temperature of everyone on the field as much as possible. But I was just surprised because I feel like in another setting, in another game, with another referee, the flag comes out. And the fact that it would go one way in one game and one way in another game speaks to the level of inconsistency that desperately needs to be resolved by the league.
I think, Mike, the only difference between what Jaxon Smith-Njigba said last night and other situations is that the mic was on. I think they're cussing all the time around the officials. It just so happened that he got him. He walked by with the mic on, so we all got to hear it. I think officials hear it all the time, and I think if you say, hey, this is bullshit, they'll let that go. But if the comment had been, you are full of, if it's more personal,
you're right.
I think he probably would have thrown the flag. But at that moment, he did have that look.
He thought about it.
I've had with my kids. Hey, watch your tone now. Yeah. Hey, watch your tone. What are you talking about? I just wonder if he had thrown a flag, and you say, what do you say? You got a 15-yard penalty for disrespectful language toward the official. I mean, you call it unsportsmanlike conduct. I haven't picked through the rule, but under Rule 12, here's the thing: the rule book is so broad and malleable that you could have. And my point is, another setting, another referee, another player, and it's going to get called. Last night it wasn't, and there shouldn't be this roll of the dice component to officiating a game. That's my broader point, whether it's taunting, whether it's saying what Jaxon Smith-Njigba said into the open mic last night, whatever it is, there should be a greater certainty that this is how these games are going to be officiated. But that's just part of the fun because you don't know what you're going to get. But it goes back to the point that we started the week with as it related to the Jordan Davis scoop and score that allowed the Eagles to cover the spread. We're also aware of gambling and the ramifications of gambling and the integrity of the game. And back when the NFL hated gambling before it realized how much money it could make by jumping in bed with gambling, and also by owners owning up to 5% of a company that operates a sports book, and they won't tell you who does, but they will tell you they're allowed to do it. And we know that some do. That
results in the normal incidents of the game becoming fodder for the fixes in. And the commissioner basically said that back in the days when he hated gambling. So when you have inconsistencies in the application of the rules, normal incidents of the game, you know what? Some games it gets flagged, some games it doesn't.
That's right.
Well, in the games when it doesn't, why didn't it? In the games when it does, why did it? But you would think the NFL wouldn't want it, because in any game where it is flagged, people are going to say, hey, you didn't flag that in the other game. In any game where it isn't flagged, hey, you did flag that in the other game. And it just is fodder for the tinfoil hat crowd that I hear from all the time. It hasn't been bad so far this year. 3 weeks and 1 game in, thank God. But it was an issue at the Las Vegas Super Bowl, and we pressed the commissioner on it at his press conference. Shereen Williams asked him that question, read his words back to him from when he said normal incidents of the game people will attribute to chicanery. And again, it's paraphrasing, but normal incidents of the game isn't. And I just don't think they care. I don't think they care, because if they care, that domino eventually leads to maybe we shouldn't be grabbing as much cash as we can from all of these sports books. And there goes the goal of getting to $25 billion per year in revenue by 2027.
No, it's an excellent point. And it's hard, in this case, it is hard to legislate. And I think the NFL, just to try to get closer to consistency, because it's tough to be, if you're going to have unsportsmanlike conduct, there's a flag, there's a possibility of a flag being thrown here based on language. Well, as you said, some officials, their threshold is a little lighter than others. You just don't know. So if you're going to have that, you should probably, just as a league, say it's going to take something really outrageous to get us to throw a flag there. Because I don't want to, I just personally, I don't want to take away some of the emotion and some of the trash talking back and forth between the players. I think it adds to the game. It brings some intensity. Now, you can't stand over a guy after you make a catch and not let him get up and just, spin the ball in his face. I think that is one of those instances where everybody looks at it and says, come on, that's just going too far. But we're saying, hey, this is some BS. I don't want any official to throw a flag on that. And You're right, but it's tough. It's tough. When gambling is involved and every yard is at a premium, every point is at a premium, because everybody's looking at it saying, okay, I need this to happen for my bet to actualize. Yeah, you do open yourself up to some questions when you're not really consistent on how you legislate these things.
Oh, I experienced it last night. My nephew, the over-the-top Cardinals fan, had a prop bet for Kenneth Walker III to have more than 75 rushing yards. And he won. So he was in this weird duality where he wants the Cardinals to win, but he wants Kenneth Walker III to have 75 rushing yards. And I don't know how you reconcile that. And it was funny to watch him. And at the end of the day, he won. You know what he won? $1. So thank God for that.
It's $1 more than I had at the beginning of the night.
But the fact that he only put $1 up and won $1 back, good. Because if you're smart about it, if you only use your discretionary income, if you don't think this is going to solve your problems and pay your mortgage and change your life and buy you a yacht, no, it can be as an entertainment proposition that enhances your enjoyment of a game, or in the case of my nephew, hopelessly complicates your rooting interest for a game, then so be it, as long as you budget it and it comes out of the money that you would otherwise spend on cigarettes or booze or whatever you allow yourself to spend to get enjoyment out of life. That's fine. But it's dangerous, because it's very easy, especially for young men, to think that I got a system. I got an algorithm. I got a formula. I got a guy. I got this guy online. It's so funny. Michael, I'll just say this. We got a break because we've been going for an hour. I can't believe this. when I was explaining on Monday, both on this show and primarily on Dan Patrick's show, how that Jordan Davis play, because of the normalized gambling world we live in, it just creates sensitivity to the impact of that moment. And I had people in the media deliberately distort what I said as Jordan Davis knew, and Jordan Davis chose to score because he was aware of the spread and he wanted the spread to cover, like he had money on it or something. And I never said that. And I haven't had time to go down the rabbit hole, but I almost feel like there's going to be this de facto army of people whose bread is buttered by sports books, who anytime something like that happens, they're going to try to shout you down because they don't want people to figure out the grift. And I think it's like a visceral thing. They don't have marching orders, but they just understand at some level, hey, I get this extra money because of this thing. I better defend this thing against all attacks, even if it means distorting what the person is saying, which is ultimately a very valid point. We're all aware of the point spread now. We're all aware of wagering now. And that does affect how we react to the things that happen on the field.
Oh, of course. Now, I know you didn't say Jordan Davis knew what was at stake and that's why he scored. No. And that would be ridiculous for anybody to even say you were going down that road. But let's not be naive and think that players don't pay attention to it. They're aware of it. So like what are we trying to live in some fantasy world? No pun intended, but some fantasy world where we're all involved in this stuff. We all know about fantasy football. We all know about point spreads and gambling, but nobody in the NFL, because they're not supposed to do it, they're not supposed to do it, they're not supposed to be aware of it. I think that's naive.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.